What's going on, everyone? Me and Mark are back today. It is February 21st, 2023. We are back with the 10PDC podcast. So, a few announcements for everyone. We are looking at, again, March rolling around the corner. Competitions we had this past weekend. We had the PKB tournament. Also, we had one of our own Santiago representing Pride of the Streets tournament. So we had a busy weekend this past weekend. I think 6 competitors on the PKB, the point kickboxing tournament. Shout out to Bryson, Will, Ethan, Vinny, Kevin, and Lucas, Brian out there. And then also Logan on the amateur bouts for that night at the Legends kickboxing tournament. So busy weekend. And then Santiago had his victory win on Sunday at the Pride of the Streets tournament. So again, really good turnout this weekend. Really happy with everyone. So again, just keep pushing everyone. Keep going. We talked about post-competition strategies last week, so make sure you follow up and listen to that podcast so you guys get tips on how to follow up after your competitions and improve and get better. We are looking at March 4th in the next couple weekends, Submissions on the Shore, run by 10th Planet Sacramento's Albert Tapia. So that is in 2 Saturdays. That is our next tournament that will be available for our members locally. We got a few other tournaments for Jiu-Jitsu coming up in April and May, but we'll talk about that when we get closer. At the gym, we got the classes rolling along. We had the holiday yesterday for President's Day, and moving into this week, we got our normal schedule. Again, kids classes rolling along strong. We got kids open mat Saturday mornings at 9 a.m., so all the parents who want to bring your kids in for open mat, bring them in. Make sure they get their training in and make sure they get their extra workouts in, especially if they missed some days during the week. We also have a few other schedule changes. We talked about the new yoga schedule. So again, if you're interested in the yoga classes, check out the schedule. There are more classes adding to the schedule, and we're looking at new instructors we're adding to the program as well. We're moving right along. The gym's been good. Everything's been moving really well. I'm happy to see everyone coming back strong. Winds coming back in strong. The storms are still looking like they're hovering over us. And we've seen a lot of the weather cause a lot of tricky situations at the gym. So again, be careful. Those of you who are coming to the gym, be careful when you guys are traveling out here, with whether it be storms or high winds. You want to make sure you guys are safe out there. Gym will be open as normal for everything for the time being. I don't think we'll have any other storm shutdowns like we did earlier this year. But yeah, everything was moving on pretty well. So, talking about some of the other announcements, we had a few promotions in the last week. Shout out to David, to Graham, and to Tim for their blue belts after all their recent performances at competitions. They've all been well-deserved for that blue belt promotion, so happy to see them continue along with us as blue belts. So make sure you guys are jumping on their legs, okay, attacking. So we always like to say, once you get to that blue belt level, all submissions are open. With the white belts, we typically try to avoid any twisting footlocks, and we try to make sure that they're taken care of a little bit more so that they're not getting any serious injuries. But by the blue belt level, pretty much all submissions are available for you. You've been training long enough to know where you're safe and where you're not. So once you get that colored belt, again, start working for those more advanced submissions, those more advanced techniques, and applying your game accordingly, because now that you're a colored belt, you should know what you're doing. That's the key when we give you that colored belt, is we show you that, hey, this person knows some jiu-jitsu. And I think once you pass that white belt hump, and once you get over that and you enter the colored belt rankings, there is a little bit of a difference that you have to respect. So again, shout out to all those guys out there. Again, really proud of everyone's progress on those who got promoted. And you guys have been a big help and with the competitions and representing out there, so I'm super proud to see it. Not too much else for gym announcements. Mark, you got anything for us?
All good over here.
Okay, 6 a.m. has been rolling along strong over in the morning sessions. Bryson running the Tuesday, Thursdays, 6 a.m.s. Coach Rich with the 6 a.m.s, Tuesday, Thursdays. Don't forget Monday, Wednesdays, 11 a.m. with Coach Steven. Tuesday, Thursdays, Muay Thai with me. And, the rest of the schedule as follows. So, again, keep training, everyone. Keep training. Gotta just keep it moving. Making sure that you guys are staying ready for competitions, especially if you guys are competing. Make sure you guys are in the gym. Do all the work you need to do in the gym. That way the fight day or the competition day is really easy. I think that's a big thing for everyone to remember, is like, your training needs to be harder than the fight. If you're just training lightly and trying to move around expecting to do great in competition, you're in for a rude awakening. You got to really be pushing yourself to the limit in your training sessions. If you want to be the best you can be, that camp's got to be really, really strong. It's got to be very dedicated and focused on improving your weaknesses, not just doing what you do good already. This is an unfortunate part of the game is when you guys are going and trying to get better, it's very difficult to get past those weaknesses and try to strengthen those weaknesses. So, in the gym that's the time you do it. You don't want to be looking at trying to clean up those weaknesses in a competition when everything is counted and you got the audience there and everything is going to be a little more difficult to execute in that high pressure situation. Okay, so get your training in the training room if you want to do the best you can in competition. Today, we have a new topic I wanted to talk about today, some sparring etiquette rules. Let me real quick review some of the combat sports news coming up. I think last weekend we saw Jessica Andrade and Erin Blanchfield go at it in the main event for the UFC, and I was super impressed with Erin Blanchfield. So if you guys haven't watched that fight, Erin Blanchfield is looking like a killer. She wins by submission, I believe. Mark, did you see that fight? I think she won by submission, but I forget exactly what submission it was. Let me double check. But Jessica Andrade, definitely very offensive in the fight, but wasn't enough to deal with Erin Blanchfield's pressure. I mean, Erin Blanchfield actually went ahead and made the pressure situation happen against Andrade, and she was pushing forward.
It's like it was a rear naked choke.
Rear naked choke. That's right. I remember she got the choke. Now I remember she got the neck wrapped before she even had the hooks. So very, very effective technique, and she's very, very skilled. That stand up looked really well. She was moving really fluidly, and she was moving the head a lot, moving the hands. And Andrade just didn't have an answer for her. So it was very, very exciting to see. Looks like she was actually supposed to fight Talia Santos Blanchfield, but Andrade stepped in and made it happen for the main event. So, again, big respect to Jessica Andrade. Coming up next week, we have another UFC event. Let me pull it up real quick. I'm not familiar with the main card, but I know we do have an event this coming weekend. Krylov versus Ryan Spann. So that should be a decent fight. Again, I'm not too familiar with Krylov. Ryan Spann, I've seen a few times fight. But the fighter I'm most interested in watching in that one is Tatiana Suarez. If she is making her return after 3.5 years. Christian, my barber, formerly told me, like, hey, this girl is the one to watch. And she was on my radar for a long time, but she's been off for a long time. 3.5 years is a long layoff. So we'll see how she does. Very decorated grappler, very skilled, very good striking. If there's a fight to watch, it's that one, in my opinion, seeing how Tatiana Suarez is on the return. Because if she is back full form, I think she's definitely a title contender. She is a savage out there. Any other fights you're looking at, Mark, on this event? I really don't know a lot of these guys.
No, I'm looking forward to the Tatiana Suarez one, too. She's a cancer survivor, too, which is crazy.
Oh, I didn't know that. Wow, that's crazy. Jordan Levitt as well as fighting. Okay. But Tatiana Suarez, cancer survivor. That's amazing. So I did not know about that.
Thyroid cancer.
Thyroid cancer. I see. That's shows you she's shows you that she is a soldier out there, and she's willing to put her heart out and fight. She's always putting on good fights. So again, watch out for Tatiana Suarez. Again, rest of the card, I don't know much, but again, these sleeper cards, a lot of times they surprise you and they have some really good fights on it. After that, UFC 285, we got in March 4th, John Jones versus Cyril Gane. We'll talk about that. We'll do a full episode on that one. That one's going to be good. So, moving right along. We're talking about sparring etiquette. Now, this goes for jiu-jitsu, MMA, Muay Thai, and just in general. Now, with etiquette and sparring, you have to remember that it is necessary to have that etiquette. The etiquette is there for reasons. When we talk about sparring, we're talking about trying to physically hurt each other in a lot of aspects. But at the same time, we're trying to learn. So it's a balance of making sure we learn, making sure that we're able to do damage, and at the same time, not injure our training partners. And that's a very difficult thing to do in this sport, because what it comes down to is understanding your skills, understanding your partner's skills, along with the weaknesses of you and your partner, and then understanding the goals for the training session. When we're looking at sparring sessions, when you're dropping in to a gym casually and you've never met anyone on the mat. It's a little different than when you're in a competition session with your teammates that you've been training with for years, and you want to make sure you carry yourself accordingly. You don't want to have the same energy all the time, because sometimes you will have different groups you're working with that will require different looks. And being a good training partner is someone who's able to give a partner different looks. Meaning, not when I say looks, I always mean by, giving them a style or giving them a strategy that you're going for, so that, or a movement, or even just literally the way you look, when you're moving or standing, whether you be grappling or striking, is going to help your partner develop their game. Some folks don't deal well with pressure. Some folks don't deal well with distance. Some folks don't deal well with, taking strikes or giving strikes. It really depends on who you're working with. But overall, the general concept of sparring is to read body language. And the general concept to keep everyone safe is to read your partner's body language and communicate. And communicating can be in a variety of different ways. You can do it by just a gesture. You can do it by an expression. You can do it by words. You can speak. If you're working with someone and they're just going way too fast, you can just say, hey, let's slow it down. Or, if someone is in there and you can tell that they're not able to control themselves, then you can just take a little more laxed approach and not try to match their level of energy. That way you can kind of try to slow the pace down. Some people in the beginning stages have this difficulty because they don't know how to step off the gas. They only know how to floor it. When you're driving imagine a little kid, if they drove a huge or drove a full automobile, they would just floor it on the ground because they don't understand that it doesn't take that much to make the car accelerate. It just takes a little tap on the gas pedal. So you want to remember that not everyone has that same understanding when it comes to sparring. The high level guys will get frustrated with the newer guys because they're going crazy, and sometimes it works the other way, where the guys who are new, they don't understand that they're supposed to be respecting the more senior members in the gym, and not trying to go crazy at them all the time, unless it's welcomed or encouraged by the actual senior training partner. When you're a newer student and you see the older or more experienced training partners, not necessarily older, because you can have a 16-year-old who's been training for 10 years, and they're the senior student in the gym. And you're sitting there 25, 30 years old and you've never trained martial arts. You got to respect that 16-year-old. They've been in there. They've been doing 10 years of training, and they've got a lot of more experience than you have. And you can't let that get to your head thinking that, oh, this kid is piecing me up, I got to try to hurt him. No, you better make sure that you're able to show you can control yourself. Control is the name of the game in sparring. If you don't have control, you're probably not going to be welcome to sparring sessions with high-level guys. Guys who spar at the high level understand control. They understand how to touch. They understand how to hurt. They understand how to do things in an appropriate setting. Let's kind of put this in a situation where it's for most folks, right? In a way where we can digest it for most folks. Let's talk about jiu-jitsu and focus on how we should carry ourselves with the roll, right? Obviously, with the roll, it comes down to a lot of things other than actual rolling. It's like, making sure you're wearing clean clothing, making sure you're trimming your nails, making sure you're not stinking, you're wearing deodorant, making sure, you look like you're taking care of your hygiene. The last thing you want is some smelly dude on top of you rolling with them, and next thing you're especially if they're bigger and you're trapped, you don't even want to make them your training partner. So again, you got to carry yourself appropriately, have good hygiene, and that's all before even stepping on to the mat and actually rolling. Now, once you're on the mat and it's time to roll and it's time to find a partner to work with, you want to make sure you're able to work with everyone. If you've never met anyone on the mat, simple enough, find someone that you feel like you're similar size with or similar skill level with, and start moving around with them. You want to try to get a little bit of a feel for them right off the bat. It's not really appropriate if you're the new guy to just start going berserk on guys and trying to jump on submissions and trying to crank legs and everything like that. That's a good way to get hurt on the next few rounds when the mat enforcer is watching you go crazy and he's going to call you out for the next round. And that's typically how it works. When you're in there, you take your time. You kind of read the room, read the energy. If your partner, if you notice there's something like going on with them, whether they're moving slow, they're moving fast, whether they're injured or whether they're healthy, you want to carry yourself appropriately with respect for your training partner. You want to make sure your training partner is able to walk out of the training room, and also not only that, you want to have them be encouraged to train with you again. That's the way you get good, is you get training partners. And if you don't have training partners, then it's very difficult to get good. So, being that person to always be a dick on the mat and always being the asshole, whether your skills are good or not, it makes a difference in your career trajectory, because it turns you into the person that, becomes skilled with talent and really, really successful with his abilities, but unable to get matches, unable to get training partners, unable to find a good fan base because no one likes him or no one respects him. And at the same time, some people are just purely about that, which I respect too. Some people are purely about, like, it's all about the skill and all about the development, and they don't really, the etiquette is secondary to them, which is, again, fair enough. But for me, in my opinion, I think that if we carry ourselves with some respect and making sure that we have honor when we're rolling and sparring, we'll be able to have more in the long run. Down the line, we're less injured. Down the line, we have more training partners. Down the line, we have more ability to network and find more out of those times when you were kind of slowing it down and helping out your training partners, and you'll see your training partners develop, and they'll reach out to you and thank you for those rounds that you helped them with. I've been training a long time, and I don't have not one training partner I can say like, oh, I'm never going to work with him again. I've always had a network of people that I can always go back to and work with if I needed to. And I feel like that's very valuable, having the ability to go anywhere when you have someone around who's trained with you before and still be able to get some work. The training partner is so valuable in this game. The training partner is one of the things you need to take care of the most. And if you are not taking care of your training partners, good luck getting better. That's just the way I feel. And if you're going to carry yourself another way, so be it. But I'm not thinking about the short term goals of winning belts and just trying to make a showcase or a highlight reel. I'm thinking about a long term idea of being able to train for your life. And if you want to train for life, you better be a good training partner. Now, in rolling again, let's go back to, again, when we were talking about actual techniques. Jumping on a leg lock or jumping on an attack with some colored belts or higher belts isn't necessarily disrespectful. But when you attack a submission or leg lock especially, you always want to give your partner in the training room a chance to tap, and I know there's different concepts on this. Some guys are just like, I'm going to go for the break no matter what. But again, your training partners are valuable. If you go ahead and unless they've been specifically assigned to work with you at a high level and they're specifically helping you to get ready for a competition or a match, you want to be able to take care of the training partners who are just there as hobbyists, who are just there as people who want to learn the art. And you don't want to just be cranking their arms or breaking their necks or rolling their ankle just for you to get better. I think that's selfish. I think that's something that it's not going to help either side, and it's going to cause more drama and chaos in the academy. So I would highly avoid going at a pace that's not going to give you the appropriate training you need for a long session. So some of you are very skilled. Some of you out there are super high level. Do that on the high level guys. Do that with the guys who are down to ride out that way. And then, I'm down when we got a hard training session to go at it. And, it's no problem with me, but that I'm not the same as, Joe Schmo, who's second week in the gym and he's never done any athletics before in his life and he's trying to learn some self-defense. I'm not going to be doing the same techniques to him as I am to this brown belt level competitor. So again, carry yourself accordingly. You got a lot of training partners and a lot of options, and word can spread like wildfire once you start going out of your way to try to be a certain type of roller or a certain type of jiu-jitsu athlete. So again, reputation is a big thing in this game, and if you have a bad reputation, it's very unlikely you'll be able to continue in this game with a good team. And the team, as much as this is a solo sport, the team aspect is huge here. If you do not understand how significant the team part of MMA and martial arts is, then you're severely mistaken. There's so many people out there that represent their teams. They put the flag on their back and then go out there and represent. And that only happens when the team gets along and works together. The only teams that survive are the ones with teams and teammates that respect each other and take care of each other. The ones that are just out there to murder each other, they don't last very long. And you've seen it, time and time again. There's a lot of teams that have disbanded because of egos and guys who've been out there just trying to kill each other every session. It just doesn't work in the long game. So, when it comes down to rolling, I always start with the slap pound. Always give them a good job. Always help your training partners. If you notice they're in a leg lock position or heel hook position and they're not reacting the right way, give them the heads up. Like, hey, be careful here. That's typically what I do. Whenever I'm in a deep heel hook and the guy is a fairly new guy, I give him the heads up. Hey, are you sure you want to keep going? I can break your leg here, and that gives them, okay, no, that's fine. I'll tap. And when you're on the back, when I'm putting the choke on, if they start gurgling, I'm not going to keep choking until he's passed out. I'm going to let go because that's pretty much a verbal tap. I'm going to tell him like, hey, if you're making that noise, that's a verbal tap. And another case is like if you do accidentally injure someone, be there for them. Just don't just walk off, raise your hands up, and be super happy on the training mat. It's not appropriate. In a competition, maybe if you don't like the guy, but even in competition, I wouldn't do that. I would check on the guy, make sure he's all right, and unless he's been talking some kind of smack. I'm not going to just walk away and be that guy to leave a man injured on the ground and just laugh at him. Always take care of your training partners. That's the biggest lesson. And in rolling and in jiu-jitsu, it can get intense, it can get really high paced, and it can get really frustrating at times, and emotions can jump out on the mat. And sometimes fights can happen. Sometimes people get mad at each other. But you have your team around you to keep you in check, to keep you guys to settle down. If you don't have that good team around you, you're in the wrong gym. You're in the wrong place. Make sure you guys have a good environment when you're training, because that's everything when it comes down to the training and moving around in the room with a lot of killers. If you guys have a lot of killers in your room, and you're still able to keep your egos in check and still able to continue your training sessions great, then you've got a good spot. You've got a really good gym that you should cling to. Mark, any last thoughts on the rolling stuff before I move on to more the striking MMA stuff?
Also started making it a habit to ask people before the roll if they have any injuries before, so that it's something that I won't go after, or they do the same for me because I've been injured recently.
That's a good point. Partly for me, especially when I see someone like a rat, when they taped up their finger, or they have a knee that's taped up or ankle that's taped up, I check, hey, is that knee injured or is that ankle? Sometimes people forget. Me, in my case, me at the black belt level, you kind of go with it. You're always injured. Like every high level guy has injuries, but we know how to work around it, and we know how to avoid getting certain situations where that vulnerability is exposed. But in the beginning stages, a lot of guys don't know that defense at that level. So, you go out your way and ask, like, hey, do you have any problems with that arm, that leg, especially when it's looking like it's wrapped up with a lot of tape or wrapped up with a brace or any kind of, debilitating movement they have in their general body language. And again, talking about body language is, that expression when you're on a attack and they start wincing, or you're in the mount and they start like grabbing their rib or something like that, ask them, hey, are you all right? Talking during your roll is not just about talking smack. It's about checking on your partner and making sure they're good, giving them that good encouragement, like, hey, good job, good mount, or saying, oh man, you got me there. That's okay, because that shows that you're not letting your ego take control. You're not letting your whole like arrogance take over the role. You want to, again, be friendly, be enjoyable, and keep it fun. You got to do this for fun. If you're taking it way too serious, you're getting emotional, getting mad. Where's the fun in that? I just don't see it. So again, let me know what your thoughts are on etiquette for rolling. If you guys if you guys on the YouTube, put your comments in there. Or if you guys see me at the gym, let me know some thoughts, and I can add them to the next time we talk about this subject. But when it comes down to the next part with striking, with MMA and Muay Thai and boxing and striking, there is another variable to etiquette, right? It's how hard do you hit, and how hard should you allow yourself to get hit. And this is the difference with making it a striking art. Now with striking, there is the concept of just touch sparring, right? Just touching. And literally, when we're throwing shots and punches, I'm not throwing my weight behind the punch. I'm just touching them with the punch. Now, all you strikers will understand what I'm saying with this. If you've never, boxed or done Muay Thai before, it may be a foreign concept to you. But again, you can still get work with your partners by just touching them up rather than you throwing big shots and throwing your hands and like getting crazy with your kicks and punches. Now, the issue arrives when you're touching your partner and just moving light, and they throw a big strike at you and they throw a big kick or a big shot that maybe hurts you or rocks you or makes you stumble. A lot of the natural reaction is what? To hit back hard and to go hard. Now, let's look at scenarios here, okay? So let's say I was touch sparring with a high-level striker, okay? And next thing you know, he hits me whap with a big kick to the body and, really hurts my rib and like almost drops me, okay? For that person, yeah, let's go ahead and turn up. Now, let's say, again, he's about my same size, okay? Then, yeah, I can turn it up on him. That's fine. If he's a little smaller than me, then maybe I would kind of pull a little bit from my shots, maybe touch him up a little bit more. But if he continues to go full force, 100%, kicking me every time or punching me full force, yeah, I'm gonna rock him. I'm gonna try to stumble and make him back up. I don't want him to continue to do that to me. If he throws that big strike at me first, and I respond with some touches, just some light stuff, and he continues to follow back with hard strikes, okay, now it's time to go because he's not getting that I'm just trying to work with him and not trying to get into a fight. But if he wants to fight, I'll bring it to him. If I'm working with a heavyweight, okay, and he's like 100 pounds on me, if he throws that big strike at me, I'm getting rocked. And I'm going to literally say, hey, dude, relax. I'm smaller than you. Literally, I'm not going to try to throw hard at him to risk him throwing hard back at me again because he's just way too big. And I understand that, hey, I will get hurt. Most big guys, especially high-level big guys, understand I control the power and they won't do that. But now you can see the different ways you carry yourself with these guys, right? And this, you can use that same concept with jiu-jitsu. When a big guy is moving crazy fast and he's just going too fast, tell him like, hey, dude, relax. You got the size on me. And the striking is very important because those strikes can knock you out and they can do brain damage or they can break your leg or injure you with enough force. When it's a same size guy, then you're able to kind of work your pace and your strength. And you got to be careful, obviously, because if they're high level and you're not high level, then maybe you shouldn't be trying to like match him. Maybe you should just be working your defense and not as offensively so that you can survive the match. And if they're smaller than you, then, again, be careful. You don't want to hurt them and knock them out. Maybe they're just kind of out of it and they're not really thinking about, your reaction. They're just trying to get work. And again, this is all talking about high-level guys, okay? High-level guys. Now, let's take that same scenario and talk about low-level guys who are just new to the art and not really understanding it, okay? If I have myself who's been training for over, almost 2 decades versus another guy who has barely done any striking and he starts moving around and he starts throwing big shots at me, I'm gonna throw some shots at him too, but again, I'm not going to throw enough to hurt him. I'm most likely going to be able to defend myself really well rather than he will be able to defend himself because he's so new. So I'm going to just touch him up, okay? And I'm going to use my defense, practice mostly my defense because practicing hard offense on him would probably get him hurt. So then I can work at the same time and he can work. He can try working his offense and I can work my defense. If I work my offense against a guy with no defense, it doesn't really help my offense that much. I hope that makes sense. You have to work your offense against a guy with good defense for you to develop your offense well. If you notice your guy doesn't have good defense and you're just throwing offense all the time, pull it back. Start to work your defense a little bit more in this round. Start to work against slipping his punches, reading his shots. And that is a still efficient way for you to work. Even if he doesn't have good offense, it still shows your ability to move around. And you can still work your offense too, but just go touch, move him, move around, kick him, little teep, little push kick, and then make sure he realizes, he got to slow it down when he does. If you notice he's getting tired in the middle of the round since he's inexperienced, let him know, hey guys, slow it down, so you can last the whole round. Just touch. You can help coach them if you're the more experienced fighter, especially if you're in a room full of guys who are sparring and the coach is preoccupied. If you're the more experienced students, let them know, hey, relax, dude, slow it down, you're okay, and give him that reassurance that you're not going to hurt him. If you have that reassurance that, hey, I'm not going to go hard at you, it gives them the ability to, or gives them the chance to slow it down for themselves, because they realize, oh, okay, this guy is trying to help me. But if you just continue to slobber knock him, he's going to panic. And what's the natural reaction for instinct is just to throw hard again. Again, that same scenario, an inexperienced guy with me, and he's lighter than me. I'm going super slow with him. I'm going very, very slow. Whether it be a guy or a girl, I'm going slow with them, and I'm just going to let them work, because most likely their offense isn't good, and most likely their defense isn't good, and they don't have the size to hurt me. Okay, I'm just going to work my defense. I'm going to move around. I'm going to help them get some good understandings of defense. Maybe I'll just work my jab the whole round. Just develop that jab. Keep it simple. There's no reason for me to throw 10 strike combos and just have him retreat and run into the back room. And then next thing you know, he's never back for training again. You know, you can make a bad first impression with someone if you hurt them on their first training session or their early training sessions. The last thing you want to do is have a guy quit because, you know, you weren't able to control your ego or you weren't able to, you know, control your pace. And same thing with the big guys, okay? With the big guys who are new and experienced, you got to be super cautious with them. Before the round even starts, I'm telling them, hey, go slow, dude. You're big. Relax, okay? Don't make sure you're not throwing hard at me. If he throws hard off the gate, I'm telling him right off the bat, hey, dude, relax, okay? Because it's not worth it. I'm not going to go. And if he continues, then maybe there'll be appropriate time to call the coach. Like, hey, coach, you know, careful. Like, you know, I have never done that in a sense where I had to call the coach over to watch me spar. But if, again, you're in a situation where the guy is being just super reckless and super out of line, there is certain times when you should be calling for assistance. But again, clear communication helps. You know, just tell him like, hey, you know, relax. We're just moving around a little bit. You've got size on me. If the coach is there and he's a good coach, he's going to give the disclaimer to the guy like, hey, slow down. You know, you got size and you're new. You know, you want to be able to learn. When you're a big guy going against another big guy, then, you know, you guys can turn it up a little bit more. The big guys can handle a big shot. But again, you don't want to be the big bully just hurting guys with big shots all the time on the mat. So the etiquette, again, when it comes down to striking, in a kind of gist of it is, again, go according to your partner's skill, right? And unless you're fighting for a camp, unless you are specifically getting ready for a fight and for prep and you need to go hard in your rounds, you always want to go according to your partner's skill so that you guys can both develop your skill. Okay. Again, and if it's an even matched situation, evenly matched, evenly weight, even kind of skill set, then you can go hard sparring or you can go light sparring. You know, those are scenarios that we need to have. We need to have a balance of both. You can't just do all light sparring. You can't just do all hard sparring. You got to be able to have sessions of both so that you can learn how it is when it gets intense and you can learn the control aspect when you're going light. So balance, people. Balance all your sparring sessions. Make sure you guys are getting quality work out there with your training partners, and just don't be a knucklehead, okay? Communicate clearly. Make sure you're helpful. Make sure you're a good training partner, and you guys are going to be able to train for many years, many years, and not have any animosity brewing between you and other guys in the training room. But again, you know, specifically for, you know, MMA as well, and, you know, talking about mixing up the two, when it comes down to MMA, you got to be careful as well, because when you're looking at such a dynamic sport with so many variables, whether it be punches, whether it be grappling, whether it be positional fighting or cage fighting or wall work, you want to be able to, again, work with a guy who is learning, show them the technique, show them the actual skills you have, but don't try to hurt them. You know, you have little gloves on. You know, if you take mount position and you get a gift wrap or you wrap their arm around their neck and you're just slamming punches into their face, you're going to cut them open. Those small gloves will easily cut. And, you know, it's a good idea when you're in those positions, you just kind of show them the shot, show them the punches there, and keep working them, making them work out to get out of that position. And then from there, if you're in that position for the whole round, and you know, as long as you're not doing physical damaging shots to maim them or to break their nose, that's okay, because that's MMA. You know, MMA, you got to learn how to get out of those positions. You got to learn how to make sure you can defend yourselves. And if they don't, that's on your partner. They got to work how to get out of those positions. You know, it's something where, you know, you do it for a certain amount of time, but again, you don't want to just be cheesing that move or just repeating that same move over and over. Let your partner get the workout. Help them learn the escapes. Help them learn how to defend properly. Help them learn how to get out of those situations. That way they can be better training partners for you. they can be more challenging to work with. And if you start to breed that environment where everyone's able to learn from each other and everyone's able to help each other, then you'll find your skills developing much better, because you now have guys who understand the game and understand the techniques. And next thing you know, you have to come up with new stuff to take care of these guys, because they've learned what you've taught them, and it's forcing you to evolve your game and get better as a martial artist and overall as an athlete and just a person, and in life, that's a kind of analogy we can use for everything. When you have certain scenarios where you're feeling like this person is inadequate, or you're feeling superior, or in a sense, or the opposite way, you're feeling inferior and the other person is on another level. You still want to have that same attitude of carrying that respect, carrying that energy, and being able to have some humility to ask for help or to give the help to people who need it. So a lot of stuff for you guys to think about. Again, let me know your thoughts on any of the sparring etiquette things we talked about today. Mark, do you have anything else before we close off for today?
All good.
Okay, guys. Well, again, keep it going in the gym. Hope you guys come back soon. Again, be careful out there in these windy days coming up. But if anything else, I'll see you all back on the mat. Train hard, stay consistent. Take care.